Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about Gevo, Gevo Incorporations. This one is more about energy kind of sector, although it differs a little bit different than like your oil sectors because that's not their main goal. And I'll go on through the presentation at the very end of this video. Now, first I'm going to be doing technical analysis, 1 day's intervals, and then I'm going to do 1 hour, and then I'm going to be discussing what I see about this stock and the future catalysts coming in, how it probably would move depending based on previous experience with similar charts, as well as going a little bit through different presentations that they have and different financial records. So quickly going on here, you get to see that the stock is trading at the beginning of a trend, sitting at 25.51. Although offerings usually break the charts a little bit, it's trading under the 200 SMA for quite a bit, so that wasn't based on the offering, but it dipped down to the 50 SMA, below the 50 SMA. Now, the 10 SMA is below the 30 MA, but I wouldn't give it much mind, especially since it's an offering thing. The MACD seems to actually going in a little bit towards the positive region from the negative, so probably sometime at the end of the week, this might actually cross, depending on the movements that it actually sees. In terms of momentum, the stock has dropped quite a bit from momentum, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The 1% sits it at oversold currently, although it has been from neutral to oversold for a bit, so we need to RSI to confirm a little. In the unbalanced volume here, you get to see that the stock has had quite a bit of unbalanced increase on there in terms of volume, in terms of stockholders. So going quickly, 5 days, 1 hour period, we get to see that massive jump that it actually seen through 1 day. It did jump from around 0.490 to all the way to 0.865, which is almost 100% increase. After that, it just kind of dipped down, and it's kind of been trading sideways for the last 3 days. And you get to see that in MACD just confirms the sideways with little to no volume compared to what it has seen before. Now, in terms of the average directional index, it shows a sloppy movement, so that's kind of as well all in the face of not a lot of movement happening in the last 2 days, just trading sideways. 10 SMA is below the 30 EMA, although they're very close to touching. The stock price right now is basically just following the VWAP and not doing that much more. So we need to look into this as a chart instead of just as technical analysis and try to understand what the patterns here and what the psychology is behind this trade. Moving average here is also broken, especially since an offering, it just kind of dipped quite a bit below. And this is the actual stock, how it looks like for quite a bit. Now you get to see that it did trade before around 151 for almost twice. That's kind of like a double top in that area. And it did hit the 0.92 before it jumped to 151. So that's a good increase there. You see in the RSI, it's actually being highly oversold at this place over here, and it did kind of see a jump. Now, why it has kind of dropped, here's my understanding of this behavior based on previous experience. Around here, that's where a lot of people, well, not a lot of people bought, but somewhere around here, and that's where kind of it starts the pumping in it. And then basically after it kind of drops, what you have is an enormous amount of bag holders in there that it becomes in kind of a little bit of a resistance per every cent, where everyone just wants to either break even at this point. Well, not everyone, just a good amount of people. So you end up having walls and not a lot of movements because everyone is trying to chase the next 100%er. So what you might have here is some kind of accumulation that's going to run for quite a bit. And so you might see trade sideways for perhaps a week or so before any new PR that can kind of get it to jump a little. So it's a little bit of a dangerous play, but I'm interested on playing this one, and I'll actually alert people on Twitter once I actually consider joining this one here again. But here's why I think this company might have a good future in that, and what I think actually in terms of the details. So this is their website. It seems that they're actually working on a bunch of things. It's not one thing, niche kind of field. It's basically them trying to get energies through renewable energy, through carbon neutral fuel, through multiple different things. And just knowing something about carbon neutral fuel, a lot of companies are interested in such things, especially even in the oil industry. They want to have carbon neutral fuel because then that comes in as an excuse to keep generating oil. Especially with as well Europe and other places in the world where they're trying to move towards more sustainable kind of energies sources. So what they're trying to do here is basically create biocatalysts, produce renewable gasolines and jet fuel, which are drop-in clean, low carbon substitutes. So it's more of an environmental kind of play. So that is also very depending on legislations in a way. Although they're not only playing that way, you can get to see how many different things they've been working on. So they were previously in technology phase, market development phase, and 2020 was supposed to be their growth phase. Although COVID hit, and they did have a little bit of a PR in COVID, and I'll just mention it in a second. Going here, you get to see. Oh, you get to see as well. They've actually started renewable fuel energy. So section, so that's a good sign as well. Basically, they're trying to do multiple things. They're trying to do renewable, they're trying to do carbon neutral, so looks good. Trying to go here quickly through their financials. It might not be in this slide. They have another one all open. So they do seem to have a little bit of renewable contracts available. So that would actually get positive PR. Not a lot much in there. Their offering was at 0.60, by the way. So that's one here, 0.60, and it's currently trading under that. So I wouldn't still buy it just because they're trading below the offering. I would wait until it accumulates a little. Going in towards, oh, it's somewhere around here. This was the COVID plan, I believe, somewhere around May, from my understanding. And basically, they had to terminate 30 employees and cut salaries by 20%. So it seems that they're actually also hit by this COVID-19 thing. Of course, the all energy field has been hit, but it's really dependent on. Oh, it's actually March 31st. It's really dependent on their current plan, and it seems that their plan is to readjust for this and try to still expand. So this was their first quarter financial highlights. So they ended the quarter with cash equivalent to 9.3 million compared to 16.3 million. But the current cash is actually added on to 18 million above that 9.3 since they're offering. The revenue is 3.8 million for quarter compared to 6.4. Understandable since COVID hit and whatnot. They had decreased their carbon revenue. So it looks like basically this quarter is worse than last quarter. But it really is depending on COVID-19 and all that stuff. So I wouldn't give much into it. This is definitely a short-term play, especially with all the risks that there are there. Now you do have cost of goods and all that stuff. If you like to read on it, it's all on their website. It's an interesting read here. In terms of the insider trading, I don't see any kind of special insider trading or anyone buying in at this range. Now, there's a bunch of awards and taxes. The last purchase I see here was in 2019 at a price share of 191, so it's quite high. Taking a quick look into ownerships in terms of buying in or institutional. This portal is not giving me much, but I see that there's around 17 of 6. Well, sorry, the last one was in December of last year, where a company bought in around 613, but there's not a lot of institutional interest. What do you think about the stock? Make sure you mention it down in the comment below. Share, subscribe, and like, and you have a wonderful day.